This is the new Precision Matthews PM-949T-6EVS. This is an amazing milling machine, and in this video, we're going to go through the process of setting it up, getting it all trammed to perfection, and of course, we're going to make some chips. Hey guys, Gavin Gear here from UltimateReloader.com. I am really pumped up about this milling machine. This PM-949T-6EVS represents my absolute ideal Bridgeport style milling machine for the gunsmithing shop. You've seen the PM-949TV, which is a variable speed mill, same table size, same tercite coatings for the ways, but this has several improvements that I'm really excited to show you. First off, we have power feeds on X, Y, and Z. We've got an enhanced and upgraded 3-axis DRO. But where the real magic happens is in the head on this machine. The head is supported by a 6-bolt knuckle, which will give us rigidity improvements over the 3-bolt knuckles that are common on a lot of these Bridgeport style milling machines. We've got an electronic variable speed head that is going to give us really great flexibility, really great smoothness, and a little bit better usability. And then I've got the maxi torque right, the power drawbar. We're going to be able to hit these buttons to install and remove tooling from the R8 spindle. This is such an awesome machine. Let me get you caught up on what we've done so far. So the FedEx freight guy showed up. We got the machine on the forklift. You know, that's always a little bit of a precarious feeling. Got it down on the ground, uncrated it, installed the lifting eye on the ram, and got it strapped into the shop and on pipes, rolled it into position. This machine came with leveling screws and cast iron feet, which is absolutely awesome. So here we are. I rotated the head up. I'm ready to clean up the machine. I'm ready to do a final leveling on it. We're going to hook up air for the power drawbar. We're going to hook up power. So I'm going to get to work. Well, here it is, the PM-949T-6EVS. It is all set up. This machine is absolutely amazing. And what's awesome about it is it's a very, very well-built machine. It's really rigid. The ways are really, really smooth, but I've also got power X, power Y, and power Z. This is super deluxe, but that's not all. This is something I've never had before, is a power drawbar. Look at that. I absolutely love that. So for our machining demo, we're going to use a 3-inch face mill. I feel where the key is here. I absolutely love that. The power drawbar is just absolutely amazing. Okay, so we're in high speed. I'm gonna go ahead and turn the machine on. And we'll bring the work up to the tool here. We'll just get a little bit of a touch off here. Right where we start to hit. And we're gonna zero our Z here. We're gonna come up just a little bit more. 10 more than that. And we'll go ahead and increase our speed here. About a little over 2,500 RPM. And center up. Let's do this. So this chunk is not at all square. We're going to take off a bit more. So let's go up another, taking off about 30 total. Okay, so it took about 40 thousandths of an inch to deck the entire top and get a uniform surface. I actually had to make a couple adjustments because we came up a little bit shy on this side, but really, really nice cut. And just a quick demo of using the machine with power feeds on X, Y, and Z. That's cool. Okay, well, I got my mess cleaned up for making chips. I wanted you to hear the machine and do just a quick action demo to get things started. Now what I'll do is I'll walk through the machine kind of feature by feature, component by component. So at its core, this is a 9-inch wide by 49-inch long table machine. It's a Bridgeport clone, so it's going to share a lot of the same features, functionality, and user interface elements that you'd have on a traditional J-head Bridgeport milling machine, for instance. The nice thing about a machine like this is it's brand new. It's tight. It's got tercite coatings on the ways, super, super, super slick. And it's got adjustable gibs. It's got one-shot lube, so there's a lever right here. We can give it a little bit of a pump. It's got hoses and lines and passages that go basically to all of the critical surfaces for the different movements of the machine. This is an ideal machine for rifle gunsmithing, especially when you're doing things like stock work, where you need a nice long table. You've got a barrel channel inlet that you're working with. You've got a receiver inlet area that you're working with. You can even make stocks from scratch with a machine like this. Drilling your action screw holes and inletting your trigger guard, all of the different things that you need to do when you're either making rifles or enhancing rifles. This machine is really the industry standard in a machine shop, and for good reason. You've got a very solid construction. It's got a movable knee. The knee holds the table, and you've got your X movement, your Y movement, and your Z movement. And then you've also got a quill. This is the clamp here that you can lower and raise. You can use this like a drill press if you're going to be doing drilling and reaming and power tapping, that kind of thing. I have an indicator set up here for tramming the vise to get it parallel with the bed. This set screw is easy to insert. This is a Noga holder for the indicator, so that's nice. It's got a stop for the quill so that you can raise it to a particular location, lock it, and now if you lower the quill, it will stop when this feature here hits that. I like to use these quick quill stops so that you can basically just really quickly adjust the position where that's going down within one screw thread of height there on the screw. This machine has power down feed, which is activated here and is engaged and disengaged up here. There's 3 different settings for the speed. In other words, for every rotation of the spindle, how many thousandths of an inch of movement you have of the quill. There's a high speed and a low speed range, and we also have electronic variable speed. So we turn the machine on with this knob up here, and then we adjust the variable speed with this knob here. You can see in our high range we have the RPMs divided by 10 at the top, and for the low range we have the RPMs divided by 10 down on the bottom. So in order to go into lower range, we're going to turn off the machine. We're going to push this lever in here, just like all the other Bridgeport style machines and clones like this one. And then it snaps into place. It really helps to move the spindle just a little bit. So now forward is going to be the opposite direction. We can see here we've got really low RPMs capable, and then we can go up to about 500, a little over 500 RPM in the low range with the electronic variable speed. When we want to stop the spindle, we hit stop button, and we've also got an electric brake to brake the spindle. A little bit less important, the spindle brake when you don't have a manual drawbar that you'll use. This is an option, the torque right power drawbar. So you'll hold your brake down when you're tightening the drawbar if that's the case. One of the Standout features of this particular machine is the 6 T-bolt knuckle design for knotting the head. The head goes up this way and down that way. And so there are T-nuts and studs on each side for the 3 bolts on each side, and this gives this particular machine, this is a patented feature, it gives it a little bit more rigidity compared to the type with through bolts. So that's a nice enhancement. The entire ram moves inward and outward, and so that's really nice when you need to position the head over work, if it's overhanging one direction or another. We've got the electronics and power connection inside this enclosure here. I'll talk a little bit more about that a little bit later. The power feeds on the X, the Y, and the Z are optional. The machine by default will come without them. I recommend getting them. I recommend having Precision Matthews install those. We've got locks for X right here. We've got our lock for Y down here. And we've got our locks for Z over on this side. And these are all adjustable, so we can adjust the angle where they engage. Let those off, let those sit as is. Coming around this side, we've got the air regulator for the power drawbar. If you get that option, that would be present there. And then I installed this magnetic power strip. You see it just slaps right on the back. All of the power feeds and the DRO plug into that, plus our shop vac. In addition to the Tercite B coatings on the ways, this machine features high quality machinery grade meehanite castings, which is definitely what you want in a Bridgeport style machine. So let's talk about travels. So on the X axis, if you have no power feed installed, you have 34 inches total. With a power feed like this, you have 32 inches. We have 13 inches of Y axis travel, 16 inches of Z axis travel, and 5 inches of quill travel. So what's included with the PM-949T-6EVS? It's basically what you see here minus the options that I've equipped it with from Precision Matthews and some tooling that I've added. So the things that are added include, just to summarize, the 3-axis DRO system, the power drawbar, power feeds on X, Y, and Z. Again, I think those are great options, and I would definitely equip the machine with a DRO and have Precision Matthews install that as well. I mentioned that for the power feeds. It's well worth the money, and they do a great job setting that up. So I've added this tramming indicator, as I mentioned, the vise. So the machine comes without those things, but it also has a toolbox and an assortment of hand tools like screwdrivers, wrenches, and the lifting eye that you're going to need to get it put in place. Okay, so let's talk electrical. This machine has a 3 horsepower motor. I'm just going to go ahead and turn the machine off here. If we want to open up the electrical compartment, we have to switch things here, and then there's 2 keys to flip. Now, when we take a look in here, you can see how clean this is. What I ended up doing was I used a generator cord that I bought off Amazon and cut it a twist lock. So I've got that coming in through the bottom here, and then up here we have L1 and L3 connected to single phase 240. We can also use 3-phase 240 if we use L1, L2, and L3 for that electrical hookup. So really easy. I already had an L630R receptacle on the wall, so I got an L630P plug and on the cord there. And then now I have a section about that long where I can use it for a twist lock adapter or something like that. So really nicely put together. We've got the Hitachi VFD system in there. Top quality stuff, really good. So one of the things you need to do when you get a new milling machine is check the tramming of the head and potentially adjust it. We can tilt the head side to side with this adjustment here. You have to unlock these 4 bolts here, and we can also nod the head. There is another bolt head here in the back that you use to nod the head up or down so that we have perfect perpendicularity between the spindle axis and the table. And that gets pretty critical when you're using larger mills like face mills, and that kind of thing. But of course, when we want to be doing precision machining, everything needs to be perfectly perpendicular. Multiple ways to do this. What I do is I've got a Noga simple holder here that I've chucked in a drill chuck, and that way I can revolve the entire setup here. So if I move the table up and we get to a 0 position, just go ahead and finish that off by hand there, something like that. What I'm going to do is check here and then over back on the other side like so. To be careful not to influence the adjustment. That is at exactly 0. And then, so that's our tilt. Our tilt is perfect. And then here at the front, we can check the ground table right here. You can see this is 0. And then if we go back behind, it should also be 0. And basically we need to nod the head and tilt the head until all 4 of those readings are exactly 0. And so interestingly enough, when I tilted the head up, the marks on there were perfect, because when I checked it, it was perfect in the nodding and tilting axes, which is pretty amazing. So I think they do a pretty good job getting these machines dialed in at Precision Matthews. So how about customizations? I'm a guy that likes to dial in my tools, and one of the things I think about at the lathe and at the mill is I want all of my tools within hand's reach. So one of the things I built for the last mill that you saw here on the channel, the PM-949T-V, is this tooling rack. And it basically bolts in place here where the lifting eye tapped hole is. It's got a nice cushion here. I just hit my head on this earlier while I was vacuuming the machine, so that's why that's there. But my most frequently used tools are here. If I need to tighten the vise down or make adjustments, I've got that particular wrench right here. My brush for cleaning chips from the vise or while I'm vacuuming is located right here. I've got a cutting tool that I use for inletting rifle stocks made out of a spade bit that I need to keep on hand. Chamfering tools, countersink, you know, that sort of thing. Hand tapping tap handles. And then I've got slots up here that are for R8 tooling. So I've got my drill chuck, I've got a couple face mills. I use this 1/4 inch extended length end mill all the time while I'm doing rifle stock work. All of that while I'm using the machine is right where I need it. And then I've got this tramming fixture for the vise. And so I want to show you how this works real quick. We need to make sure that our vise is parallel with the table. That is just a given. So what I do is I just swing this down. This is normally back like that, out of the way. So we just kind of get this down into a good position. Get the vise jaw over so that we can get a 0. Just like this. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is move the X table left and right. And when I stop at the end, it should be 0. So you can see here we're a little bit left of center, and that means that we could do a little bit more work to tram this vise in, but since I'm within a 0.5 that should be good. So another really important thing I did was this DRO display hood. This is something that I designed in SolidWorks. I 3D printed it. And you might be able to see here that the numbers are a little bit washed out. That's because of our super intense overhead lighting. But if we put the hood in place, we can see things perfectly. Another DIY project that I did that I suggest everyone do is these bed covers. I've got one here on the right, you can see, and then I have one for the left. There's a couple things that are really helpful with these bed covers. First, you can set things down and know that you're not dinging up your table. Second is, you've got chips falling down from a milling operation. You can very easily sweep them off or vacuum them off, which is really nice. Finally, I also have these jaw covers with screws that just hold them in place. So now we have a nice soft grip if we're gonna grip a hardwood rifle stock or something that's a little bit more sensitive. Sometimes I use blue tape as well for non-marking gripping applications. I can also set frequently used items here. I don't set things on the bed again because I don't want to ding it up. And so, yeah, these covers are super nice. So let's do a little bit more cutting. We're going to do some power down feed drilling, and then we're going to do power tapping. So this is actually the first time I have done the power down feed on this particular mill. I used it quite frequently on the other 949 TV. So the first thing we need to do is engage the power down feed, and then we need to select our feed rate. So we're going to do 3/1000ths of an inch. I have to turn things just a little bit sometimes to get that to go. There we go. Okay, that's in place. So we've engaged power down feed. We've chosen 3/1000ths per revolution down feed speed. We're going to go, we're in low range, so we're going to engage the spindle. Okay, we're going forward there. And then we have to make sure that things are turning here. So, let's see, is that going to be down? That is down. Okay. So, now we'll bring things up. Turn our speed up just a little bit here. Give it a little oil and go ahead and get things going. Okay, so that's a very simple power down feed demo. We could go up to 3/4 of an inch with steel easily with this feature. It's super nice if you have a lot of holes to drill. It's also really a great feature to use with a boring head if you want to bore holes to a precise diameter. Okay, so now that we've done that, we're going to take the drill out and install our tap. So we're tapping 3/8 16ths, so 16 TPI. We've got a 5/16 pre-drill there. So I'm going to go ahead and install our drill bit. We'll deactivate our power down feed because we don't need that for this particular operation. Okay, so we're going to again start the feed. I'm still getting used to the controls on this. I'm used to my other milling machine a little bit here. Bring this up. And the plan is going to be, we'll give the tap a little bit of oil here. We're just going to go ahead and have our hand on the off button. Go ahead and get it going. Stop the spindle. And then we'll go ahead and reverse the spindle. It's just that easy. I already had power tapping to do for some of the fixtures that I built for the PM-1440 GT-VS. You're going to want to check out that video. That's our new variable speed gunsmithing lathe that we just got in the shop. Power tapping is great. Your tap is going to be perfectly perpendicular to your work, which is really nice. It's going to save you a lot of time and effort. You just have to make sure of your pre-drill diameter, use the right lubricant, and stop in time and reverse when necessary. Well, I am super glad to have the PM-949T-6EVS in the shop. If a high-end gunsmith was to ask me what mill should I get for my shop, if they're doing, you know, rifle stock work and that kind of thing, I would definitely say this machine, bar none. The PM-949 TV that I had gave me years of dependable service and was awesome, but I really like the way the electronic variable speed head works on this. And I also love the options that, you know, I had power Z and X on the other machine. Having power Y is, I think, nicer than I thought it would be. And this machine with the power drawbar is a lot quicker to use, especially because you're frequently changing out cutting tools and chucks and things like that. And it's very much worth it to get the power drawbar. I can't emphasize that enough. So expect to see the PM-949T-6EVS in upcoming videos. We're going to be doing more building of fixtures for the shop, more rifle stock work, more related projects. What I'd like to know from you is, did you have any other questions about the machines? In future machining videos, is there something specific you'd like to see me do with this particular machine? Just let me know down there in the comments. Also, if you have questions for Precision Matthews, you can ask those as well. One final talking point I failed to mention is there's a 5-year warranty on this machine. That is pretty awesome. So highly recommend it. I'm super excited to have it in the shop, and it's something that we use all the time, so it's really good to have. Thank you very much for watching. That concludes this video, and that means it's time to wrap it up. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you're watching Ultimate Reloader on TV and want to take advantage of free resources, exclusives, and hot deals, just hold your camera phone up to the QR code, tap on the link, fill out the information, boom, you're getting Ultimate Reloader emails. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Also, we're on Facebook, YouTube, Rumble, where we've got unrestricted content, and Instagram. Make sure to follow us on all those channels. Ultimate Reloader also has a commercial solutions division serving law enforcement, the military, and the gun industry. We have some unique capabilities, including a comprehensive suite of recoil testing and evaluation capabilities, trigger profiling, and more. Thanks again for watching.